Hi everyone, so I'm sitting here in an MG ZS electric car, and it's really nice to be able to try something new and something different for the next few days. MG have very kindly agreed to lend me one of their cars for the next week so I can make a few videos and compare it to what I'm used to driving, which is the Nissan Leaf, the Polestar, and a little bit of time driving the Tesla. Now, I think that the real reason I wanted to drive this particular car is because MG are one of the few manufacturers at the moment that are producing a car that is under £30,000, and it is a practical car as well. It's not something that isn't suitable for a family. This is a really good sized car with a really nice sized boot, and it's a kind of a compact SUV type car, which I think is really nice. And being able to get this for under £30,000 puts it into the price point of being a lot more affordable for many people. Now, don't get me wrong, £30,000 is still a lot of money. So the document they gave me say that this is listed at 28690. So this isn't a cheap car by any means. However, it is one of the more affordable electric cars on the market, and that means things like lease prices are a lot better than you're going to get with something like a Polestar or a Tesla. And it is probably a lot more practical for many people, being a little higher up and being the sort of SUV type shape than something like a Nissan Leaf. So it is really good to be able to borrow this car, and I'm looking forward to driving it around for the next week. So this video is just my initial impressions. It's going to be fairly short. I haven't even driven the car yet. I just got into it and I've just sat down, and you can see in these shots that the interior is really nice, and it's a nice design. You've got this like center console, you've got a nice armrest here where you can store a few things, a couple of cup holders, and then fairly traditional controls here in the center, and then a screen up front, and very traditional looking controls behind the display, behind the steering wheel, I should say, where the Polestar display would be. So it is not particularly fancy in that area. It is a lot more like a traditional car, really. So if you're coming to this from your normal sort of petrol or diesel car, a Golf, a BMW, this is quite similar. Unlike the Polestar, which is like totally new and unusual inside, this is probably an easier car to transition to. So I'm gonna head off now, drive home and see what it's like when once I've had a few minutes of driving this car. Okay, so I'm back home. That was a really nice drive. It's only a short drive for me to drive from work to home, about 12 minutes. And first impressions are, yeah, this is a really nice car to drive. The road noise is really well controlled. I was very surprised actually at how quiet it is, and the handling is good. Obviously, it's not up there with the Polestar in that sense, but for a car of this size, like, it's not that different to we used to have a Skoda Yeti, and actually it feels like the handling is quite similar to that. Much better actually than the Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV, which is a really big and heavy car and kind of floats a bit on the road. So I thought, yeah, that's really nice. A very easy car to get into and drive, because there's not really much to do other than select drive and just go. Nice on the motorway as well. Good amount of power. It's interesting to see how much power you really need, because you can select as the sport mode. You've got sport, normal, and eco, and the sport mode, it really does make the accelerator pedal quite sensitive, so it launches you forward, and that's fine. For most people, this is going to be enough power. At the moment, it's saying I've got 97 miles remaining with just over half the battery. The battery display is kind of confusing. It's on the right hand side there. It doesn't have that many bars, so it's just over half, and it's showing 97 miles. So I'm guessing half battery will be around 90 miles, which means the car thinks it can do about 180 miles. Now, whether or not that's going to be the case, we'll see, because I'll do some of my other videos testing the range a little bit later on. But yeah, that kind of makes sense based on everything I've read, that yeah, around 180 mile range. So we'll see what that really turns out to be. Now, the exterior of the car at the moment, yeah, I have to say it looks really nice. This is the red color. Metallic red looks really good actually on this car, and the boot space looks really good. It's not a massive car, so you're not going to get huge amounts of things into the boot of this car, but it's high up, so it means that it's very easy to get into and out of. So perhaps if you find it a little difficult to get into a lower down car for physical reasons, then this is going to be a really good option. Nice boot space, and it looks like a decent amount of space in the back seat of this car as well for children or for passengers that happen to be going in the back. This car has the leather interior, and it looks really good. I'm not really sure if this is, I think it's fake leather. I'll look that up at another time. And big cup holders in the door. So again, for internal storage, you've got 2 unrestricted cup holders here in the middle, and the door holders, which are really good. Okay, so what about consumption? I've done a fairly short round trip. It was 9.5 miles on the way out and 7 miles on the way back, so that's 16.5 miles. A bit of a mixture of dual carriageway up at 70 miles an hour, then onto some country roads, mix of 30, 40, 50 miles an hour, and it was a complete round trip loop. So getting back to the starting point, 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour on the way out and 3.5 miles on the way back. Now, that is actually, to be honest, that's really good consumption compared with the Polestar. I mean, to be honest, in the Polestar, the best I was getting was probably 3 to 3.1 lately with the better weather. So seeing 3.5 to 3.6 is really good. So this is actually quite an efficient car, but with a small battery. So the car officially has a, just looking at my notes here, 44.5 kilowatt hour battery capacity. So the usable is a bit less than that. Obviously different numbers that you see depending on what you read quoted by the manufacturer or tested by other people. But say, for example, I use 42 times that by 3.5. That gives a range of about 150 miles. So the car itself is saying at the moment 72 miles remaining and 50% battery. Now, this is the problem with the battery gauge on here. Earlier, it was saying something like 90 miles with 50% of the battery remaining. It's not a very accurate gauge, and yeah, that's compared to the Polestar. Now, the Polestar doesn't really show you an accurate range at all, so that is not great in that area either. Tesla's probably a little bit more accurate, but my point here is it looks like 150 miles seems to be at the moment with this kind of weather a fairly realistic mixed driving range. So is that far enough for a lot of people? Now, this is just an initial impressions video, so that's going to be my first thought. Like, the interior of the car, everything about it I really like. Like, I would happily own one of these, even, you know, driving in the first 5 minutes. It handles well, it's comfortable, but the range of 150 miles, that is you've got to think about what this car is really designed for. It is not a long range, long distance car. It's a local area kind of car that you could use with no issues at all if you wanted to take a longer trip. And it rarely will suit people who tend to drive, you know, maximum 120 miles a day, which, to be honest, is most people. A 1 hour drive at sort of 60 miles an hour plus a 1 hour drive home from work would be fine. Or if you can charge at work, you can just plug in and top up there. Then you could go further. And as things change in the UK with more rapid charging locations, a car with this kind of range won't necessarily be a problem, because you should be able to drive for 2 hours and at 60, 70 miles an hour, maybe 70 miles an hour is pushing it, hour and a half to 2, stop, charge up for half an hour and then go again. So the thing is that limited range of 150 miles for a lot of people might not be enough. But for those people that are happy to kind of be restricted to 2 hours between charging stops, perhaps an hour and a half, or who tend to drive a lot of, you know, daily drives that aren't more than 100 to 140 miles, this is a really, really good car, and you will save a lot of money by going for a car like this. So it has its pros and cons, and that smaller battery is lighter, which really helps with the efficiency, which so far looks to be very good on this car. So yeah, average 3.5 to 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour so far. So yeah, I mean, I hope this has been a good video so far. There'll be more to come on my thoughts of this MG ZS EV over the next few days with some different videos, including range tests and just my general thoughts on what this car is like to drive. So yeah, I'll be back again with another video very soon. Thank you.